Do you have that one friend, or heck, maybe it's even you, that is constantly saying, I'm sorry? Unless you're in Canada, because then you're always hearing, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. In this episode, we're going to talk about the things that you don't need to apologize for. Because research shows that the more you over-apologize, the more you unconsciously express a people-pleasing type energy. It actually shows that you lack confidence when you're constantly saying, I'm sorry. Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 13 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation, we've found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. So I have this best friend, and for many years she was in a relationship with a narcissist, toxic person. And we spent a few years apart. And we really didn't get to communicate a lot, and things changed in our lives. And when we reconnected, it was really interesting to me because every 2 seconds she would say, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry I moved your water bottle. Oh, I'm sorry I touched your arm. Oh, I'm sorry I moved the fork. Oh, I'm sorry I was 2 seconds late. It was just, I'm sorry about everything. And I remember telling Chris, I don't even know who this person is anymore, because the person I remember was so confident. She did what she wanted. She didn't ask twice. She was always kind. It doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. But she never said, I'm sorry, for just the smallest of things. And I brought this to her attention. We started talking about it. And slowly but surely, I've watched her reclaim her power and no longer apologize for bumping into me when we're on the couch cuddling watching a movie.
Yeah, you really don't have to have any extra reason why you should be here and take up space. Oftentimes I see people apologizing for some of the most simple things that don't really make any kind of sense. It's not something that you should come out and say anything about. It's something that you just shouldn't even mention. So I want you to notice who in your life, take an inventory right now, who in your life have you heard the words come out, I'm sorry? And have you heard it come out a lot?
This is a different kind of sorry than like, hey, you hurt me, I need you to forgive me kind of sorry.
You definitely want to take responsibility when you do something and it impacts another person in a hurtful way. But if you're 5 seconds late, if you don't know what to do and suddenly you're like, oh, well, I'm not sure how to do this. I'm so sorry. You don't have to be sorry. If something's new to you, you don't need it. You don't need that. You don't need those extra words. A lot of times it just gives the other person I don't know, just let me surrender to you. It's a very submissive tone. And when you look at what the psychology studies say oftentimes is that the repetition of the words, I'm sorry, is basically like a magnet to attract the kind of people that would walk all over you.
So let's talk about some of the things you don't need to apologize for. I literally just thought, for being a badass motherfucker. Okay, but for real though, the first thing you don't need to apologize for is needing alone time to take care of yourself. Self-care is starting to be one of the things that we used to look at as selfish, but now we're realizing the implications of not taking care of ourselves. So don't apologize when you need to walk away. As Chris mentioned in a previous episode where he talked about not wanting to be as social, and if he gets overloaded with social activity, he needs a day to recharge, to recover. So when he says to me, hey, Britt, I'm done. Like, I'm done this week. I know that that is his way of setting a boundary and saying, I need time for me.
You know what's special about that is that I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty about it at all.
It's so special, Chris.
Well, there's a battery meter that's going off in my head that's saying like, hey, you've poured too much from your cup for now. Like, you need to take a couple days, get away. And for me, getting away means maybe it's time reading a book. Maybe it's time just taking an extra nap. Maybe it's time being out in nature. Maybe it's doing something that gets me just back to myself. I need that personally for recharging. I need that to be able to show up and give literally anything. And so once I hit that capacity, there's no reason for me to feel bad about it. If we were sprinting and suddenly I was tired and needed to stop, I would be tired and needed to stop. Whenever something naturally is happening to you or something that is a natural process for you to go through, there's no reason for you to feel bad. And for me, self-care is one of those huge ones. Britt doesn't typically take clients early in the day. I mean, it's so seldom.
I do not apologize for not taking clients before noon.
Doesn't apologize.
And they guilt trip, and I don't give a fuck.
And so this is about empowering yourself. It's about realizing that what needs you have matter, and the actions that you take matter, and that they're deliberate, and that you don't need anyone else's approval for those.
So if you're needing self-care, you do not have to apologize like it's something that is inconveniencing others. This is a gift for you, and you actually teach others to respect your boundaries, and you set the tone. You become the leader when you prioritize your self-care.
So let's talk about the next thing that you do not need to apologize for. It's the small shit. It's the small things. It's anything that you just... when I'm sorry comes out and it doesn't have any meaning behind it. And the real problem with this is, not that this can happen all the time, the real problem is that every time you say I'm sorry, deflates the value from any time that you're going to say it in the future. It's just like the people who are always trying to tell you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Everyone loves hearing that until you've heard it too many times. You're like, are you just saying that every time I see you? Like every second?
Well, then you start to think, are they saying it to receive the validation and hear the response?
Or are they reassuring themselves?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what is this set up for? And so the question here is, if you're a person that says, I'm sorry, what are you getting out of doing that? What is the secondary gain that you are getting from that? And to me, it's something small. It's too small in that moment. I am leaving I'm sorry for like when I step on the dog's tail. You know, like, I'm sorry, but I didn't see you there.
Yeah, if you accidentally punch someone in the face, like, you should probably say, I'm sorry.
You're the only person that's accidentally punched somebody in the face.
Well, I mean, I don't apologize when I mean to do it.
Oh my gosh.
If I accidentally do.
Yeah, and this is also powerful. Something that we are huge on.
I'm just kidding. I don't punch people in the face. I'm like thinking people are probably like, what the hell? Like, who are these people? No, I don't do that.
So talking about arriving late or something like that, you show up and you say, I'm sorry. What has happened now? What has happened in this scenario? I show up, going to meet somebody. I'm running behind. I get there. The first words that come out of my mouth are, I'm sorry. How is the other person supposed to respond? They're supposed to tell me, oh, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay that you cross this boundary. What I could do instead, which is much more powerful, is to show up and be like, hey, thank you. Thanks for being patient with me. Done. Not thanks for being patient with me. Let me explain my day and let me blame it on this other driver and the way the lights worked and the train that was here and this long call because I'm dealing with this client from this way and my silly dog got in the way and I had to step on his tail. It's not that. It's just walking in and saying, hey, thanks for being patient. A thank you makes the other person feel good, and I'm sorry makes you feel bad. It's the same exact thing. But it's so much more powerful to swap it the other way.
Yeah, so all you have to do is reframe I'm sorry into appreciation for what they are providing. If that's extra time or space, or just save your energy. If you accidentally bump into someone like that you're friends with, you don't need to apologize. I'm pretty sure they're good if you accidentally just like lean into them at the lunch table.
Yeah, so let the small things be small things and let the big things be big things. And when you do make a mistake, when you do mess up something, where you do really, really destroy a deadline, or you've done something that you definitely knew that you shouldn't have done, and you know that someone on the other end is definitely hurting because of it, that's where you can take responsibility. And that's where the I'm sorry means everything. It's one of the most important forms of communication once you hurt somebody. It's the, wow, I did mess up. And in the future, what you always want to do, like when it's big, is that in the future, tell them that you're not intending to do that again. Like you are going to take the steps necessary to make it different next time. That is what the other person is wanting to hear.
Ooh, save it for the good stuff. because there are going to be times where you really are genuinely sorry and you want it to be meaningful. So the third thing that you don't need to apologize for is for saying no. I love the phrase by Oprah where she says no is a complete sentence. This gives me permission to not have to justify or bring meaning to the reason why I don't want to do something. I think we try to create all these scenarios to make it seem less than, like, oh, well, they'll judge me if I say no to this thing. I want them to still like me. People will still like you for saying no, and actually, even better, they'll respect you.
This is something that we've found out big because, we live by the whole 7 or above rule. And so that means that we do say no a lot of times. It does happen, probably a lot more for us. And what's interesting is that when people do spend time with us, they value it much, much more. Because it doesn't seem like we're always available. And when I think about Britt in the hair salon, in the beginning, when she first had clients, she didn't have much people, right? She's just getting new into the business. And so her time didn't look as valuable. People would just try and book for any time. People would try and call her at any point. And then what ended up happening is shifting as her schedule booked up, as she got better, as she acquired the clientele. Now it's people, it doesn't matter what the rain. We have had full ice here. And when you're in Texas and it ices on the road, everything shuts down. I mean, it can probably rain hard and it's shut down here. It's just we're not prepared on the roads for anything like that. We've had people drive multiple hours away in full ice where the mailman didn't even come to get their hair done by Britt. So it's one of those things that she is now so valued in the salon that people are literally willing to risk whatever type of injury they could sustain across a highway. I mean, there's no reason she should come out there, but it's an importance level. It's what ends up happening when you do start to say no, when you do start to define what your boundaries are, when you do say what I will take in life and what I will not take anymore, what I'll stand up for and what I'll let slide. And so once you start to define that, you can say confidently no to people without feeling bad yourself. It's not a no unless you can stop feeling bad about it, because you'll end up saying yes again. You end up feeling guilty enough to say yes, or allow them to wiggle room to guilt you a little bit more, and then suddenly you're doing things that you don't want to be doing. So once you do that, you will notice that people value you more. It's like the beginning part. It's just anytime that you start to say I'm sorry, it diminishes your meaning and your confidence to the other person. It's telegraphing that even if you're not directly coming out and saying it.
And it starts with having respect for yourself too. I can't tell you how many clients have asked, can I get an appointment earlier than 12? No, I cannot tell you how many times that question has been asked. And every time I just feel more confident and stronger in saying no, because I know that on the other side of that no to them is a yes to me and my self-care, and creating that space for me to fill my cup so that I have plenty of energy to give when noon rolls around and I'm ready for opening up that portal to give of myself to other people.
The other thing I like to do, where if it's something that I want to go to, like if someone offers me an opportunity that I really would like, but our schedule's too busy or just something comes up and I can't, what I always will tell them though is more than just saying no, is that, hey, I can't come this time, but I'm really interested in that. I would love to come. Please keep me in the loop for next time. It may not work out again, but I want to know, like any kind of opportunity where I can do something like this with you, I want to. I just can't this time. So you want to be still seizing opportunities. Like just coming out and being able to say no doesn't mean you have to say no to everything. If it's not lighting you up, though, it's definitely a moment to pause and think, do I really want to be doing this? Is this how I want to spend the hours of my day? Is this, would this light me up? And put yourself in that position doing that thing and say, am I happy doing this? And if you're not, start to think about that. Start to realize that you don't have to apologize for any of that. You don't have to say that you're sorry. You don't have to provide an excuse. None of that is required. No, like Britt said, is as simple as it has to be.
Being unapologetic really is just a reflection of knowing your worth and knowing that you are here to take up space, that you deserve to be here, and that you don't need anyone else's approval. And when we're constantly apologizing, we're looking for validation.
Yeah, I remember, so when Britt and I first met, I was in real estate and Britt was going to beauty school. And she worked during the days, and so she would do cosmetology school at night. So as soon as I got off doing real estate, I would drive over there and see her. And I had a motorcycle back in those days. And we're out there, we're standing outside our beauty school, and I'm friends with everybody up there. It was, I always had, it was really fun being up there. A lot of really talented, artistic people. And I'm sitting out there on my motorcycle, and one of the girls comes out, she's like, hey, can I take a ride? And I said, no. And looking at Britt's face, you would have thought that, I'd done some nasties. I mean, you would have thought that I deserved a whooping. And Britt's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, she's your friend. Like, it doesn't matter. I wasn't feeling it in the moment. It's totally okay. If I feel later on that that's something I want to be doing, hey, we're still open for that. And if not, then it's a no. You don't need to explain yourself to anybody. You don't need to tell them anything extra.
And you don't have to say yes just because other people are asking of that from you.
No, don't let everybody pimp you out.
Oh my gosh. So if you are someone who over apologizes, make sure you're mindful about when you're using it and why. I hope that you love this message. And if you had a takeaway or an aha, please share it on social, tag us, and let your friends know about the wisdom going down on the podcast here at The Elevated Life. We're so thankful that you are here joining us each and every week. And until then, we will catch you later. Peace. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. Want more? Join us at theelevatedlifeclub.com for mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a new masterclass, meditation, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
Come join the 7 or Above Club.